This is the Shimpo slab roller. It will become your friend anytime that you want to roll out slabs in the pottery lab. It has two metal rollers that you can adjust the height of the top roller to make various thicknesses of slab. And when you roll the slab, you need to make sure that you have the canvas in place. And there are two pieces of canvas exactly the same size. And when you roll the clay, you'll flip one up and put your clay right in here, and I'll demonstrate that in just a second. Let me explain the various components of the slab roller. These two cranks on top raise or lower the top roller. Okay, and you can see the gauge right there. This is making the roller closer and closer to the other roller that would make a thin slab. But we always want to start out a little thicker than we want it. So right now, it's about 1.25 inches. And then when we have clay in the roller, you'll see in a second, we will use this big wheel to make the clay go through the rollers. So let's make a slab. This is a bag of Vegas buff like you received on the clay pickup, and if you haven't, you need to, and you can make arrangements with me. But this is our bag of clay, and if you were in the lab, you would open it up, keeping it in the bag and slicing off a brick of clay. And like always, make sure your bag is completely closed up when you are not working with it. Now, the slab roller is not a miracle worker. You can't just stick a huge brick of clay, but something like this we can. And the slab roller will stretch it out this way. It will not stretch it out this way. So I want to make more of a square slab. If I would roll it this way, it would just become very long and narrow. But if I put it so it's horizontal and do the slab roller, you'll soon see the results. I showed you how to adjust the rollers so you have various thicknesses of clay. Right now it's set for 1.25 inches. So I pull the two canvases towards the rollers, and then I roll and then roll back. And you can see that when I lift the canvas up, it's beginning to stretch out the piece of clay. Each roll that I do, I like to flip it. I'm bringing down the roller to about 3/4 inch, and again rolling back and forth. I don't have to force or pull the canvas hard at all. The rollers will do it for me. As you can tell, it's getting a little bit more square, and it's about 3/4 inch thick. Now for slab work, especially for the slab sign, we want to go about 1/2 inch in thickness for the slab. This is just a little bit more than 1/2 inch. I want to see how it's looking. And there's our thickness. I want to go just a little bit thinner. And as you can tell, it will not roll exactly a square. You'll need to cut the size that you want for your projects once you get the slab set. Okay, right now we're at 1/2 inch. And when I pick it up, I want to pick it up so it retains its flatness. I don't want to peel it out because I don't want to peel it up because that curve, clay will remember that curve, and when it dries, you'll have a warp to it. But there's our thickness of the slab. So here is a slab ready to work with. Now this is a good thickness for a base of a sign, but if you want to make a cup or something like that, you would probably want to roll just a little thinner. A ½ inch is a little thick for a useful cup or mug. But that is the way we use the Shimpo slab roller. Now I'm certain that nobody has a slab roller at home. And while we are zooming, we still need to work with slabs, so we need to figure out some other way to produce slabs for our projects. Now the first method I'm going to show you a method that if you have a rolling pin or if you have a fairly thick piece of PVC pipe, that would even work. But something to roll the slab with. So here's our clay. I've already taken it out of the bag. I'm going to slice a little bit. Put that off to the side. And I want to make more of a square shape. Now I can just start rolling without any guides. But if I want to make sure that the thickness of the slab is even, I need to have some way of assuring that. So I have a yardstick I've basically broken in half. I'm going to put on one side of the slab, another yardstick, and you can use any boards. I just happen to find a yardstick here in the lab that I could use. Now I'm slowly pushing down with the rolling pin. I'm not trying to do it all at one pass. That will stress and crack the clay. Rolling the clay. And right now it's a little thick. Now if I wanted it thinner, I could take off a layer of the yardsticks. And if I don't want it quite as thin as just the thickness of one yardstick, I still leave the guides right there so I don't accidentally go thinner than that. But right now I'm not pushing as hard, and I'm getting a little bit thinner slab, nice and even, but not so much that it's going down to the yardstick thickness. So if you want to check how thick your slab is, you can either take your pin tool and poke all the way down and then make a measurement like this. And if that's the way you want it, you can just smooth that out and that pin prick will disappear. And I'm using a ruler to cut my slab to get a straight line. So if I was going to use this as a slab sign, that edge would be nice and straight. Now I'm going to use this particular slab for letters on my demonstration for our slab sign. So I want it a little thinner than this. So I'm going to continue to roll until I get the thickness of one yardstick thickness. Slowly getting the thickness that I want. Now I'm rolling on a canvas covered table, and you probably don't have a canvas covered table at home. So I would suggest you do this on, if you have a fairly firm sheet of cardboard or a piece of plywood. let's cut that straight line again so you can see how thick it is. And you can tell the thickness of this slab is much thinner than the one that I rolled on the slab roller. This is the slab that I'll be using to create my letters for my slab sign. And finally, if you don't have a rolling pin or any round object that you can use to roll the slab out, there's another way of making slabs without the rolling pin or without the slab roller. All it takes is for you to get the clay ready, and you're going to slap it down on the table, but not just straight down like this. You're going to start and throw down at an angle so the clay works itself into a nice even slab. And if you get proficient and practice at this, this works almost better than rolling out a slab with the rolling pin. I'll show you the thickness. Let me get a straight edge so you can see the thickness very well. As you can tell, this is pretty much a 1/2 inch slab all the way across. It might just be a little thinner on the edges, but it is really nice and even. And all that was a motion in which we throw down like this. So it stretches the clay as you throw it down. Now right now this slab is getting thinner and thinner because I demonstrated more and more. But you can tell the thickness is staying the nice even thickness all the way across the slab. So that is the third method on how to create slabs for this assignment.